Black Prosperity with Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Bill Diggs. I'm the executive director of this organization. And today, we're talking about the thing that helps to make Miami go, right? There's been a lot of discussion around prosperity, around economic development. We've all heard about the comments that Jeff Bezos and King Griffey have made around, Miami being the new epicenter for financial for finance, in the United States. But today we're talking to two people who've got their feet firmly planted in Miami-Dade County. We're talking to a person that's over economic expansion, and that is Miss Latoya Byrd. Latoya, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. And also we've got the man himself in South Florida, and that's Robert Parsons, who is the Economic Development Manager. Robert, good to see you.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Good. Well, listen, guys, we're going to get right into it. I mean, I want to have a real lively discussion around economic development, and I want for people and our viewers to understand kind of, what we've been up to as an organization. But why don't we start with some of the things that's important so we can kind of make sure that we level set this discussion. Latoya, name, title, tell us who you are, tell us what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Miss Latoya Byrd, and I'm from down south. Okay. So I'm excited to be
now,
a part.
What's down south?
Down south is Coconut Grove on South. I'm from Goulds originally.
Okay.
And I just have a passion for down south because sometimes we get left out.
Yeah.
But we've been showing up lately, and I like anymore, it. Right? Not anymore.
Yeah.
The South is definitely saying something big. Good. And I'm happy to partner with Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust as your new business expansion specialist. Good. And my background is in education and community.
Okay.
So it feels right at home here at MD.
Good. So what's your day look like? What do you do?
So the day is answering a lot of questions about our grants that we have coming up. Good. And it feels good to see the community engaging with us. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to have opportunities out there, and it's another thing for people not to connect with it. Mm-hmm. But I see us making connections big time, both south, north, all over Miami-Dade County, working with small businesses. So on a day-to-day, I'm answering questions, helping direct the business owners to where they can get resources with us and outside of our agency.
Right. We're going to come back to talk to you a little bit more about this AI stuff, this whole artificial intelligence piece. So don't let me forget that. 30 minutes goes by fast sometimes, and so I want to make sure that we cover that because, this New World Order stuff is interesting. I've got a session coming up with our good friend Jim Barry and some other folk to talk more about AI, but I want to get your input too, because your generation is younger than me, so I want to know what you're thinking about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Parson.
Yes, sir.
So Robert, you again. I mean, you're a Miami guy, right? Yes. Born and raised here.
Richmond Heights.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself and tell us what you do.
Well, I'm Robert Parson, Economic Development Manager, and my job is to make sure that we get participation with our small businesses, namely people of color, to do the things that they need to do to prosper in business. Right. Far too long we've been falling short. Lack of resources, lack of information. So our job is to make sure that we have enough resources and enough information out there to help them along the way.
Yeah. It's interesting because, being that you're from the southern end of the county, right? Our services go as far north as Miami Gardens. What's the philosophy around, how we're developing relationships with businesses on both ends of the county?
Well, being that we're county line to county line, we have to make sure everybody is served. Yeah. We make sure that if we have events, we do one in the north and we do one in the south. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to these workshops that we've been doing, we're trying to make them ultra inclusive so everyone has an opportunity to come and get some information and see some of the resources that we have that are available.
Yeah. I think that's neat because, one of the guiding principles around what we do is we want to be the go-to organization for economic development in our community, right? Yes. And I think that also, too, that it's important that we've learned that we can't mince words, right? And so, we're a Black agency.
Right.
We've been focused since the McDuffie riots on creating opportunities for economic development for Black businesses, people of color. Miami, is a melting pot, but also, too, Miami has its challenges. you know, and our community has been woefully underserved, you know. So, Latoya, when we think about the services that we offer, help me understand some of the programming that we've been doing in that vein.
So with the past 6 months I've been here, I've seen us partner with business owners in the community who are offering additional services like for business to business and bringing that to the forefront, and also partnering with huge organizations here in the county to make sure that our communities are well aware of what's going on across the board.
Right.
So that's been important for us because it creates a bigger network and we're able to cast a bigger net and help more of our community. So some of the programming we've done outside of our grant workshops. By the way, the grant workshops are heavily attended because people want to know how can they get the money. And not only that, they want to know how can they stay connected to the information and the resources. So in addition to the grant workshops, we've been providing AI workshops because that's what's been going on. In the climate of 2023, AI is making a stake here, and business owners in our community do not need to be left out of the conversation. And we want to put hands-on workshops and master classes for the community so that they can start incorporating this and not be so afraid of it. Because I think when we think about AI, it's like, oh my goodness, is it going to take away jobs? But I think it's a dynamic view to look at it like, how can this help create jobs with our small businesses in our community? So
I mean, what's your thoughts around that, right? I mean, because I think that you're right. I mean, there, you know, this whole big discussion, you know, but I don't understand it enough to say that it's going to help or it's going to hurt. But for a small business owner, give me an example of how AI can play a pivotal role in helping a business to grow.
Absolutely. I'll give you 2 examples. So for the solopreneur, many business owners in our community are doing it themselves. They're wearing a lot of different hats. With incorporating AI, it allows you to assign an AI assistant to those hats, if you will, and that way you can organize your day a little bit more.
But I mean, but the cost. I mean, does it outrun the benefit, or where does that make sense in?
So when we say AI, artificial intelligence, a lot of us are familiar with ChatGPT, and it's a large language model where we can do, I don't want to say endless amount of business tasks, but it's there for us to be more productive. Whether it's organizing your database, whether it's looking at your production, what are you doing, what are the numbers, what are the analytics? It's helping you understand your business in that way. And you can also assign it to do all your social media posts, because who has time, you know, to be posting all day long, but we know that marketing is effective. So if I can assign my AI assistant to do that, now I can focus more on the quality of what I'm presenting to the community.
So let me be clear. We are going to be offering classes to help people understand how to interface with AI and use those types of things.
Absolutely. We've already done so on the grant foregrounding. So in our grant workshops, we actually did demonstrations showing the business owners how to use ChatGPT, how to use artificial intelligence to craft their business plan. And not that it's the end all be all, but for a business owner who is wearing so many hats and now wants to present themselves for funding or present themselves for different opportunities, they can use the AI to kind of help them look good the way they should on black and white, on paper. And I get people coming up to me in different events saying, oh, you know, thank you. Since I've been using ChatGPT, I've been able to do X, Y, and Z. And it feels so good to hear them, to hear those types of testimonies, because they went from seeing something to doing something.
You know, I even heard that you could almost write a business plan for an ice cream parlor, and then this whole thing will do that, right?
In seconds, yes. It can.
But also too, I guess I want to warn folk, and this is one of the things I heard in one of your seminars, was that once that happens, you need to read it and make sure that it's adaptable to what your business is going to be. In other words, I mean, don't let AI, if you will, really, I think I still have this thing, and I just noticed that. That you have this whole chat GPT to build a business that you can't represent, right?
Right.
So you still, as an owner, have some intellectual
Contributions.
Yeah.
You have to have your intellectual signature on what it is that you do.
Right.
You're only using artificial intelligence as a tool. You don't want it to replace what you and your vision is about your business. You don't want it to replace that. You want it to enhance.
How about that?
So that's why a lot of people, are a little bit apprehensive to using it because one, it's new. The way that we're using it now. I mean, we've been using artificial intelligence for decades now, but the way that
somebody says anyway, right? Yeah, I'm hoping that they haven't been using it. I haven't known about it, but I guess they probably have.
And the fact that 2023 really rocked the world with using AI, I think is very important for the business owner, and not just the business owner. I think it's important for the family to understand this is something. This is getting ready to change, like an era, a revolutionary era in our history. So it's not just about how can I use it in my business. It's how are we going to evolve with this as a family, because it shouldn't just be one person in the household that go to them. They're good in AI. It needs to be across the board. Because as we see, the big companies have already folded in AI into their products and services. And I'm talking about Google, I'm talking about Microsoft, and there's thousands of other resources that business owners can use. So as a solopreneur, you can use it in several different ways.
That's one person that owns a business. Gotcha.
But if you have a team, if you have an employee base, which we want you to, we want you to use AI to expand your business so that you can provide employment opportunities. It goes with educating the employees as well. So I have to give a shout out to Marlon Avery, who's been our AI instructor for all the different workshops that we've been providing. And he says that, AI is not going to take over all the jobs, but someone who specializes in AI will.
How about that?
Right.
So Robert, it's interesting. I mean, within economic development, it really, since you've been here, I got to give you a lot of credit, man. I mean, we've grown our organization tenfold in regards to kind of what we do. Matter of fact, if I'm right, the year before you and I came here, we given out $40,000 in grants, right? Now these grants they're dollars that are given to Black businesses in our community. Tell me about last year and kind of how much did we give out, where we were, where we're at.
Well, from the time we got here, which ran right into Black Business Month, we didn't have the monies that were large rollout of grant funding. But what we did, we were able to pool some money together where we gave $80,000 in grants for our first year. But as the year went forward, we were able to give out more. More money was given to us that we could utilize based off of what people see us doing, and it's all positive because it's helping small businesses. We were able to increase to $440,000 in grants.
How about that?
The next year.
Yeah.
So we gave out $370,000 to businesses that were in business for at least 3 years,
right? And
matriculating on to a higher level. And we went to startup grants. We felt that we were leaving out a large population of people that were trying to get started, and capital is key. And the money that we were able to give them, which was $70,000, was able to help them get some things going. Get their licenses, get some insurance, buy some supplies, things that they would need to get started, and take those headaches away. Because the average business doesn't last 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. I think that too. I want to make sure that we give a shout out to LaWanda Wright Robinson and Gary Hartfield and people in small business development, because we've done all of this with really one thing in mind: to increase the vendor population of Black-owned businesses within Miami-Dade County. There's been a lot of discussion around, how small the vendor pool is, we're getting less than 2% of the businesses that go to Black business, and I really think that it's our job, right, to increase those numbers to make sure that we have more businesses that are scaled and ready to be able to go out and, you know, write a request, you know, via the RFP process.
Right.
But you got to be a significant business.
Well, we're helping to build capacity.
Yeah.
And you have to have capacity to compete. And by us bringing these small businesses together, they get to network with each other. Because sometimes you might have something that I need and I have something that you need. So we can do a joint venture together and go after some of these county contracts that are out there. We build capacity based off of each other. So by putting these people in the same room, we create a different atmosphere, a different mindset. We are letting people know that, hey, the opportunities are here. We have to make our network our net wealth.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, it's interesting because, again, you know, the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, we sit on this four-legged stool. We have economic development, we have research and advocacy, we have youth services, and we have housing. And one of the things that we're attempting to continue to do is to make sure that we cross-pollinate, that those four divisions, you know, are all focused on one thing, and that is really economic development.
Yes.
I mean, you guys sit at the core of what we do, because if mom and dad don't have a job, then we're going to continue to give out money that comes from the tax base to reduce the amount of poverty. Now, I get it. At the end of the day, you know, we want to make sure that we help everybody. But listen, Miami-Dade County is really the engine that drives Florida.
Yes.
And if it's going to be the engine that drives Florida, and if you take a look at the backdrop of Miami, like the view behind us, none of those condos, man, 15, 20 years ago were there. I mean, Miami was a flat line.
Yeah, we didn't have a skyline.
We didn't have a skyline. And when you think about that growth, and you think about those Black folk who signed the charter to create Miami, we believe that we've got a responsibility to make sure that these Black families can create wealth.
Right.
And they do it through owning businesses, right? So help me understand some of the classes that we've been giving. Talk to me, Robert, for a quick minute about what those look like, and then what the goal of those classes are.
Well, in the workshops, what we've been having, we're bringing different resources to not just small businesses, but to the community, because not all of our workshops are just small businesses.
Oh, okay.
You know, we have other people that come into our workshops as well,
Right.
because we're having people that understand your credit. We're having people there that teach technical assistance in the different areas that you might need in your business, because some people, as you say, wear many hats, and most of them don't fit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you wear a hat that's too small or too big for your head, so you need somebody else to come in and resize your hat.
Right.
So we're bringing in those type of resources to help people. But also, in what we're doing is creating a mindset. We're making a shift in mindset from small business. I hate saying small business, and I hate saying mom and pop, because you know that mom and pop only helps mom and pop. You never grow past mom and pop, or maybe one or two family members.
Right.
You know, so we're trying to make people understand that there are resources here, and they're here to help you. You know, right now we're in a climate where small business is king. You know, our mayor believes in small business.
Yeah.
So we have to
does.
make sure that we get every resource out there to these small businesses to make sure that they have the understanding that we're here to help you. And if you're not in the room, you're missing out. And that's what we've been trying to create, the buzz of, if you're not in this room, you're missing out. That's why our workshops are sometimes standing room only, because people understand that they've been missing out.
Yeah. You know, and I'll give you two credit. I mean, and Robert, you especially, because I think that you've created a vision, right, that has helped to expand this economic development footprint. There's so much more that we can do. I do believe that it's important that we make sure that these businesses are connected to other economic development organizations like the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. Eric knows is our constant partner, right? Matthew Pygott is at everything that we do.
Yes.
Also, too, we're starting now to grow, because we realize that David Whitaker and his organization at the Greater Miami Convention and Business Bureau, trade and tourism drives Miami forward.
Right.
Nothing more important than that. I mean, we as a community have always made our money, based on how does somebody say this? As goes the airport and the seaport, so goes Miami.
Yes.
Right? So what are we doing to connect those different anchor institution organizations back to the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust?
Well, what we do, we partner with them. We bring them to our events. We go to their events. We're making sure that our database is knowledgeable of the events that are going on and the resources that are out there, not just ours, because we can't do it all.
Sure.
We can't help everybody, but there are other agencies and other organizations that can.
Mm-hmm.
So we invite them to all of our workshops.
Yeah.
And when they have events, we're at their events. If it's in a different city, North Miami Beach, we're there. If it's in Homestead, we're there.
Yeah.
And we make sure that our people understand that this is where the resources are going to be on this day. Let's get there.
Yeah.
And we push it. And it's like I tell people, it's like watering the grass. If you don't water it, it'll die.
Yeah.
So we have to continue to water our database with information.
That's very true.
And they grow from that.
Yeah. It's interesting because before we started today, Grant Miller and I we had a short conversation about rail and jobs, right? And as you know, I'm a new traveler to South Dade. I would be fair to say that. I remember years ago, I had a friend of mine. He sent me a picture of his tag in his car. He said, just so you know, I know you're never going to see either of these again because you're never going to drive south. I'm like, heck no, I'm not driving south. And I thought south was Richmond Heights, right? I mean, I listen, when I finally drove down to Goulds and to Perrine and to Florida City and Homestead, and now we have board members, that are housed down there. But I also realized there was a really good quality of life on the outside of central Miami-Dade County.
Yes.
Right, and that's where people live.
Yes.
Right? You can call them suburbs, but I call them neighborhoods that need to be served. And I will tell you, I think that the next set of plays that the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust is going to run, and is already beginning that, is to understand how we can bring value to those communities. I mean, Miami Gardens, no question, right? We have to have the same mindset about Homestead because that's where our children are at. When people get misplaced, that's where they head to.
South.
You're right, but I got to tell you, it's almost full, but there's a lot of opportunity. And so we've got an event that's coming up on the South. Tell us what that is and what do we got coming up? So.
Okay, so next week on December the 5th,
December
from
5th.
11 to 2 p.m.,
Okay.
we're going to be at the North Dade Regional Library providing a workshop focusing on grant excellence.
Okay.
We want to help prepare the community to be ready for 2024 funding.
Good.
And to do that, we've partnered with the Chamber. Matthew Pygott is going to be our featured speaker, talking about the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, the secret sauce of doing that grant application. We're excited about that. And we're also going to be featuring past grant recipients, and we're going to be highlighting them.
Yeah, that's important. I've always wanted to hear, how you doing, right? Kind of like, the Shark Tank, they do a retro. They say, hey, here's where the person is at now. You can see on our screen some of the different grant recipients that we've gotten. And I want to say, as you go on, thank goodness for our commissioners, Commissioner Keanu McGee, who's always funded our Black Business Month, and and Cohen Higgins, who's really beginning to drive some of the different attitudes that are taking place in the South. And when you take a look at Marlene Bastian and the great job she's doing in North Miami with the Haitian community, it's been awesome. And Hardeman has been a mainstay in Liberty City, and then our commission chair, Oliver Gilbert. They've all been very receptive to helping us to be able to push our initiatives forward. And then they show up. They contribute and they participate and they bring their staff. Because again, one of the things that we want to make sure that we always do is to have our vendors prepared for the opportunities that have come through the county. Because the county is a $14 billion organization. Our budget is. We spend billions in procurement, right? So this workshop we're doing on December the 5th that we're going to do at the North-Dade Regional Library, are we going to be talking about how to apply for the grant? What's that look like?
So not only exclusive to our grant comes up in January of 2024. We want them to be prepared for all grants.
Okay.
And that takes education, that takes clarity, that takes strategic planning, and we want them to be ready. We don't want to wait till the new year to get ready. We want them to be ready right now. And so we will be having partnerships with like the business-to-business vendors, providing information on medical services and coverage as well for business owners. Because a lot of time, if you're an entrepreneur, you put your health to the back burner, and we can't afford that if we're building a legacy and we're building something sustainable. And so we have a featured vendor coming out for that. We also have Credit 360 coming to touch bases on personal credit for business credit foundation.
Okay.
And that's key. And we are also with the grantees that we're highlighting, we're not just looking to find out what it is that they're doing now with the grant money, because that's very important data point, right? But for the sake of the workshop, we want to get their feedback on what they went through. And CoSpace, shout out to CoSpace, the owner Joy St. Clair, she was actually the highest ranking application. And I think it's important for people to see what a high ranking application looks like.
We did an event at her spot, as a matter of fact. Yeah, and that's one thing I do like about our philosophy too. And I'll say this, and I say it all the time. As a matter of fact, I had a lunch with the folk from Florida Blue on yesterday or the day before. And I said to them the thing that I've been saying ever since I've been in this in Miami, Florida, running businesses of particular sizes. I do business with people who do business with me.
Exactly.
I think it's important for us to understand that philosophical discussion should always be around the fact that if I can help you to grow and you can help me to grow, then we can go and help somebody else. But we have to make that commitment to one another. That commitment's got to be grounded in an ethical concern. We have to make sure that we take care of the business of making sure that the brand that we have, the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, and the brand of Miami-Dade County, which is carried by Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, continues to move forward. And so as long as we do that, I think that it's important for us to always do business with people that do business with us.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Robert, so as we close to 2 minutes, talk about the process in regards to grants. I mean, real briefly, what are we giving out in January, and then what are we going to be doing for the rest of the year?
Well, in January, we'll be doing our capitalization grant. We'll be giving out $100,000 in $10,000 increments. So there will be 10 recipients that will receive $10,000 on this grant. Okay. And as we move further into the year, closer to Black Business Month, we'll be coming out with another grant for $100,000, a capitalization grant. Okay. And as we're moving forward, we're trying to split things up a little bit to try to stretch the money a little bit.
Right, and then we can have activity all year.
Yeah, right. So it's not a one and done. Yeah. And we're trying to also, we're steady trying to find resources that we can help more people.
And I want to say this too. Economic development is just one thing, right? We have housing where we're giving up to $28,000 for down payment assistance. We have housing that we're giving up to $50,000 for rehab of houses to be able to bring them up to code. And so I'll say that we've got $5 million or so of dollars that the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust is putting on the street to help to improve the plight of those folk that are in our communities. We've only got about 30 seconds left or so. I want to say this. It's important that we continue to drown out the noise and do the work. There are a lot of people that discuss kind of what's going wrong. We're here to talk about what's right. We're here to talk about the things that have made the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust the go-to organization for economic development in this community. We're here to help people to understand that by building relationships with us, they can move their business forward I want to thank the both of you for taking time and spending it with me today. I'm really enjoying the work you're doing. I want to say congratulations to the Economic Development Organization.
Thank you.
And I want for everyone to have a great holiday season. We'll be right back here next week. Same bad time, same bad station.